Hey guys, welcome to another Double Tap on YouTube. I am Stephen Scott.
And I am Shaun Priest. Hello.
Shaun, I've got a great story to tell you today. Well, I say that. Actually, the founder of the company of Lotus, not 123.
Oh, I got excited then. It took me way back.
It takes that. You're going to be a certain age to know that, to get that reference. And
Google it.
Not Esprit either, despite it being a great car at the time. No, we're talking here about a product which is kind of making smart tech easier to use. And I want you to listen to this conversation that we had with the founder of this company, Lotus. And we'll come back on the other side. Just going to play you a couple of clips of the interview we did.
Okay.
And I want you to react on the other side of this because I think this is so interesting. Imagine being able to have smart tech in your home that doesn't require installation, doesn't require an app, and doesn't require a fancy remote control or anything to use.
What?
Super easy. You can use it in your home, and you can even take it with you on the road and make even a hotel room smart.
Color me intrigued. Okay, let's listen.
My name is Deval Patel. I'm the founder and CEO of Lotus, formerly managed a division at Apple. So the story really starts with me. I was born with twisted knees. And over the years, I've been on and off crutches myself. And one night, a few years ago, I got into bed having left the lights on accidentally. But I was too tired to get out of bed, hop onto my crutches, hobble 10 feet, turn off the light, hobble back 10 feet, and get back into bed. So I just slept with the lights on the entire night and woke up in the morning not having slept well, thinking if someone like me, I'm an engineer, I used to manage a division at Apple for iPhone, Watch, and AirPods. I've worked at the company that makes the wall switches. I've worked at Lutron. I have 37 patents. You know, if an electrical engineer like me doesn't even have smart home technology in their own home, who does? And that was the genesis. That's how I started digging. Let's back up. Why don't we start with kind of the state of the art today, right? So let's say you wanted to actually use Alexa to control your lights. For instance, like you mentioned, you're in your own home. Well, what's the first step? Well, the first step is you need to rewire your wall switches to connect to the internet, to be able to talk to Alexa, right? That's step number one. Then you have to put a smart, and that, by the way, that's everywhere in your home. So wherever you want smart home tech, you have to rewire everywhere. That's step one. Step two, wherever you've rewired your wall switches, now you have to put a smart speaker in every room of the house to control the switches you just rewired. That's step two. And by the way, step one is 11 hours or $2,000 just to rewire your home. Okay, so step one, rewire. Step two, put speakers in every room. Step three, if you somehow got through the first two hurdles, you have to now pair every switch one by one through another app. And if you lose power, by the way, you lose all the pairing, so you have to start from scratch all over again. And this is best case. Everything I just described is best case if you own the house. If you're renting an apartment, there's no solution. If you're traveling for work or for pleasure, there's no solution. Like, what do you do in a hotel? You can't take your smart home with you. So it affects everyone, but it disproportionately affects people like me. About 27 million people, at least here in the US, with limited mobility. We're talking veteran soldiers, older adults, and disabled persons. So to solve that problem, we ended up creating Lotus. So Lotus is a wearable ring that controls objects at home by pointing. But unlike, say, Alexa, there's no apps, no rewiring, and no internet. So step number one, you put on the ring. There's a single button that I'm using on the camera here, single button. And all you do is push the button. I'll explain what it does in a second. So putting on the ring once eliminates the need to have a smart speaker in every room of your home because the ring stays on you and goes with you wherever you go. So that's step one. Step two, for any existing wall switch, and we haven't made any changes. This is a regular wall switch. And by the way, there are other types of wall switches too. I have another prototype here as an example. For any existing wall switch, you can attach the second half, which is a Lotus switch cover, and it attaches on just using magnets. So there's no rewiring. There's two magnets on the back, and it can just go on top of any existing wall switch. Now you can continue using the wall switch manually as well. So you can walk up to it and use it like a regular wall switch. Just press on the front surface. But the most important part, step three, all you do is point and click. And using infrared, just like your TV remote, eliminates the need for any apps or smartphones or internet. Basically, we let you go from home to smart home in seconds, and you can take any of this with you wherever you go.
Wow. Okay. I'm sort of blown away by that because obviously I'm all about the smart home, smart devices, smart speakers. I love them. Absolutely amazing. I can't argue with anything he said there when it comes to setting up. Absolutely, especially when it comes to lights. It's such a hassle and the expense. This is genius, isn't it?
I'm amazed by this. I'm genuinely amazed by it. And I was so keen to let you hear this story. We featured it on Access Tech Live recently. And when I heard about it, I thought, I've got to get into the studio and talk to you about this because this is just amazing. The idea, I mean, look, how many times have we had a conversation about, smart technology? And then immediately we either talk to someone or we meet someone or we hear about someone who we think this would be great for you, but you don't have perhaps even an internet connection at home. Or maybe you do have an internet connection, but how would you set up an Amazon Echo? Oh, well, you don't have a smartphone. Okay, how are we going to set this up for you? It just, everything about smart tech seems to have a roadblock in it for most people.
Yep.
And even if you've got all that stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean you can understand it all to plug it all in and make it work.
Yeah. Or you've got, you bought that brand of light bulb or a smart device, then you need to download that app. Not that one, this one. Oh, and that one's not accessible, by the way.
I bought a smart button so I could control the smart lights in my mum's home. I got the button. It was from, I think, SwitchBot. And I bought the SwitchBot button. I think it was, I tell a lie. I tell it wasn't SwitchBot. It was Tapo, T-A-P-O, which is a TP-Link brand. And I bought it. And it said, "Oh, you didn't buy this the Tapo hub." So okay,
of course, yeah.
And I'm looking at my mum and dad, thinking, if I wasn't here to set this up for you, there is no way this would ever be used.
Yeah, is it Zigbee? Is it Z-Wave? Is it Wi-Fi? How do you talk to that device? All these things, it's not as easy as it's made out. Now, look, I do love the concept of the smart home, and we're nerdy enough that we'll go through all those hoops and loops to do that, right? And we'll get it to work. But even then, it still fails now and again. You got to go through it all again. And I think in the future, when the new builds of houses, all the plugs and electrics are going to be wired for this anyway, all internet connected and everything. But that's in the future. But right now, I think this is a perfect idea. And there's still going to be those devices which aren't going to be smartified, if that's, well, it's definitely not a word, but it's one I made up. And things like this, SwitchBot themselves, you mentioned SwitchBot, they do a SwitchBot switch as well, which you could put over, which is basically a robotic finger to flick those old style switches if you've got central heating that needs an old boiler that actually needs flicking on with an old switch. So this this retrofitting of existing appliances, I think this is amazing. And honestly, I think this is a great idea. The Ring is probably the perfect wearable as well for something like this.
Well, that's right. Now, we, of course, have been talking about wearables recently, and, we kind of wonder how a ring would work for us. This is a great way because, I wear a wedding ring. I'm used to wearing a ring. And, from what I understand, this ring is not that big to wear. And, of course, it doesn't have a huge amount of technology in it either. Ultimately, it's an infrared transmitter. And, the potential for this is great. Immediately I'm thinking, okay, so I could have this on a number of lights around the home. I could go around, I could just literally click this onto my various light switches and just walk up to that light switch, click on the ring and that's it. The light is on. Or if I'm sitting down, I can press the button. If I'm upstairs, I can use it. And again, this is all about, and it's kind of aimed at people with varying levels of mobility. But of course, elderly people who are blind, and of course, many people who have got mobility issues would really benefit from this. And I just think, this could be one of those things that could be really great even for people like us, because you think, well, hang on, would you guys buy this? I would. I have a light switch at home which controls my outdoor lights, and it's not a smart system. I'm kind of hesitant to put smart lights out there because I don't know if they would have enough, would they be close enough to the Wi-Fi to be able to get a decent connection for them to function?
Exactly.
And, you know, when you get these things put up and we're talking, you know, you're getting a guy with a big ladder and you got to get up on the roof to fix this. I don't want to be having him out every 5 minutes to fix this. So I'd rather just get the bulbs in and then have a smart switch in the house. But getting a smart switch is costly. And there are actually in the UK some issues with trying to get some of these things to work. So having something like this takes that problem away. So, you know, it kind of solves issues for people, even who are techie. But also, it helps people who are not to get... And I've got to say that the extra part of this, which we don't often think about, we wouldn't necessarily think about with smart home, is taking it with you where you go. Love that. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, a hotel or something like that. If you could... the magnets on the light switch, I mean, it's easy-free, hassle-free, I should say, easy installation, right? So that sounds absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, there's, you know, I suppose there's specific use cases for this. It's not going to be for everyone. But I'm thinking, you mentioned, you know, parents, I think would absolutely love this. People that don't have an internet connection, those people do exist. And
they call it the digital divide for a reason, right? There's a huge number of people who are not connected online.
Yes, and all the solutions that I come up with, as you mentioned at the start, it's all, if you don't have an internet connection, we're stuck right at the start. But my Wi-Fi, my internet went down recently, and it was like I was thrown back to the Stone Age. My video doorbell stopped working, so, you know, I couldn't tell when someone was at the door. The security cameras went off. I couldn't turn the heating on or off. It's amazing how much you rely on it, and it's not until a problem comes up that you realize these are the flaws in this. And I think he's come up with a very good solution here.
Yeah, love
Absolutely amazing.
Tell us your thoughts. What do you think about Lotus? I think it's a brilliant idea. You tell us your thoughts. You can email us, feedback@doubletaponair.com. Drop us a comment below if you'd like as well. And, of course, you can always call our listener line, 1-877-803-4567. And we're on social media and at doubletaponair.com. We'll catch you again for another Double Tap on Air on YouTube soon.